My name is Katie Byers, and my brother Tim Guilfoy is in prison in Tennessee for a crime he didn't commit, but there's new evidence of his innocence. As I covered in parts 1 through 8, Tim was convicted in 2011 of touching 2 girls and sentenced to 40 years in prison. But this past January, 12 years after his conviction, one of those girls got on Facebook and admitted that the story told to the jury never happened. Please watch my other videos for more detail. Tim's fight for freedom has never had so much support. As of today, we have over 1,100 followers in just a couple of months, and it keeps growing every day. A lot of the credit should go to Steph at Steph's Case Files, who graciously had me on her show last Wednesday, April 23rd. We spoke for over an hour on a myriad of subjects, and I am going to show you a few clips from the show in just a minute, so please keep watching. Before I get to the clips, I want to thank everybody that has contacted the Nashville DA about Tim's case. Please continue to do so, as it really does help. If you have not done so, please go to freetimg.com and click on the link at the top of the page for all the contact information for DA Glenn Funk. Call, email, do the social media thing, and let him know that you are watching Tim's case. You can also tag media and influencers in the comments sections of our videos. 2 that we are trying to get the attention of are Nashville News Channel 5 at NC5 Nashville or Michael McWhorter at Tizzyent, Tizzyent. Please help us make some more noise. The clips I'm about to show you are only a fraction of the time I spent with Steph. We went well over an hour. I highly encourage you to visit Steph's channel on this platform or the other and watch the entire video. While you're there, check out Steph's other cases she's working on with her followers. She really digs deep into these cases. Because of the time that we had on this show, we were able to go into many other aspects of Tim's case that I have not been able to cover in previous videos. The first clip is about the new evidence that I have been talking about in the previous 8 videos. The second clip is about the fact that Tim actually had alibis for the dates he was alleged to have committed these crimes. The third clip talks about how a bailiff in Tim's case exposed the jury to extra testimony that was not presented during trial during their deliberations. We still only covered a fraction of Tim's case, and I look forward to updating Steph's followers about Tim's case soon. I will let you all know when Steph has me back on. Please enjoy these clips. Thank you all, and please help me bring my brother home.
Now it's coming up in July, and it's new evidence that we just got. And so what that is about is the Facebook post that Taylor came on in January 2024. And that's when the Astles decided to come on and start talking. And that is when Taylor, in particular, started talking about how they didn't even go to school that day. But her saying that they didn't go to school that day is really, really important, because if you recall with the second trial, they had several disclosure stories. They had the guidance counselor. They had the girls telling Jen before school and getting on the bus. They had Jen saying that they didn't talk about it before school, but she found out somehow and pulled them out of school. So going to school was a really important part of their disclosure story in the convicting trial. And if they're now getting on Facebook of their own volition and saying, you know, we didn't even go to school that day, what she's basically saying is, ha, 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 you're in jail. I lied. I'm lying now. I'm not honest, but I am seeing you stay in jail for, you know, this thing that I've done.
The other story was that they were at school and that they told the guidance counselor about these allegations, and that the guidance counselor called mom and said, this is what has happened. And then allegedly mom goes down to the school and pulls the girls out of school.
The guidance counselor story, we just basically needed to see if the guidance counselor existed or talked to the girls at all. And we found the guidance counselor who was willing to say in an affidavit that there is no record of any girls talking to her that day or any other day. At the beginning I mentioned a couple of dates that Jennifer wrote down, but Jennifer wrote down many, many dates that she said this abuse happened on these dates. And I remember because of somebody's birthday, it was right around that time. And I remember this one because of that incident that happened. So she had discrete dates that she put down. And in the first trial in July, we were able to take all of those dates and find out where Tim was with credit card receipts. He was working across the country at that time. And I think that I think there were maybe 14 dates, and we had 13 alibi evidence witnesses that we brought them up on the stand. And so by the end of the trial, it was very, very clear that these dates that they had testified to, that they were very, very sure of, that Tim wasn't anywhere around at that point.
I want to say something that she said. I want to say it again. 14 dates, 13 alibis. 70 years, no parole. Think about that. Think about that.
The second trial, they didn't have those dates like they had in the first trial. The first trial, she had those 14 dates. Second trial, they didn't have those 14 dates. They said that Tim did these over a period of this many months, this many years. So all of these alibi witnesses that we had for the first trial were really useless for the second trial because we didn't have any particular dates that we could say that he was in another town, another place. So the second jury, they did not hear that alibi evidence. They just were given the free rein that Tim could be found guilty from, I don't remember the exact dates, but from this date in 2008 to this date in 2009. So how can you present an alibi for 4 months or whatever it was? You can't.
Is anybody else in here as outraged as I am right now, just based on the fact that we could present this in the first trial, but we can't in the second trial, which, by the way, the second trial.
We found out after Tim was convicted, we told the jury, and we found out that they saw videos, DVDs in the jury room, and we had never seen these DVDs in court, during trial, before trial. I still haven't seen them. Tim still hasn't seen them.
Let me explain to them a little bit about this. So in 2013, the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals made rulings in the appellant's first appeal, Tim's first appeal. During this appeal, the court considered the accusation that the jury viewed 2 videos that were not played during the trial. So how when you sit down to ask a child, and that was videotaped, them responding with what happened to them and explaining what happened to them. I read the surveys from the jurors myself, and I saw myself, and in fact, I text Katie and I said the common theme here between all of these jurors, and then one of the reasons they, convicted him is based on these tapes, that they were just so convinced by watching these tapes. The problem is that the tapes were not entered into discovery. They were not played in court. Excuse me, 1 moment. They were not played in court. They were played for the jury during deliberations. Based on that alone, I can't even. The court found it was an error for the state to give the DVD recordings to the jury, but noted, quote, "The record does not demonstrate that the jury ever watched these interviews. Yet, on December the 15th, 2016, the jury foreperson executed a sworn affidavit which became available. This affidavit is described as not only proving that the jury had watched both videos, but proving that the trial court had withheld the fact from Tim and his lawyers for 5 years. So for 5 years, they knew, and Tim didn't know. And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the United States of America, and I don't care if you think he is guilty or not. That alone is grounds for a mistrial. overlooked, we have misconstrued phone calls, overlooked rock solid alibis, jury tampering, recanting of the stories, misaligned dates, times, places, negative grape kits. And this man is sitting in jail, most likely for the rest of his life. And for what? Money? Wow. Gist of it, I think we have in your mind that in this country you should be convicted on without a shadow of a doubt. And to me, there was just too many doubts in this story, and I feel like Tim has been wrongfully convicted.
I do too. Thank you, Steph. It's been so wonderful having your attention and really your scrutiny. And I invite scrutiny completely from everybody. I would totally doubt the innocence of Tim too, just looking at the outside of this case. But it really is an injustice from top to bottom. And I'll just say too, we are going to be in Nashville next week. A week from today is the status hearing for the main hearing that we'll have in July. So next week is not the one that we want everybody to come to. If you want to come to it, it's Nashville courtroom 5A at 9 a.m., but you certainly don't need to. What we really like for most people, if you are able to travel to Nashville or if you're already there, July 1st and 2nd are when we have the main hearing. And so that's when evidence will be presented, witnesses will be called, and it's really going to get deep into what happened here and getting into the veracity of the assholes and the conviction itself. So if you want to come to that, please let me know that you're coming so that I can look for you, or you can just show up as well. But there will be a good contingent of Tim supporters July 1st and 2nd in Nashville, so please join us. And also just keep asking questions. You know, I get nervous only because I want to make sure that I'm saying everything 100% correctly and truthfully, but it's easy to be truthful when you just have one story and it's the truth. So I invite questions if you have them.
All right, Katie, thank you so much for your time, and I'll be keeping in touch with you, and I know that you'll keep me updated, and I am keeping you and your brother and your family in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Steph, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, everybody, I appreciate you listening.